right. Well, let's get going. My name is Dave. I've got Bryant and Frank who have used our services here at Engage Myself for years and are really bright business people. And they've adopted some interesting mobile services as well. We're not going to talk really specifically about Engage by Cell. You can contact me through chat, or we'll send you information if you want to learn about our services. But it's more of what was the journey that Bryant and Frank took regarding mobile? What did their employees think? Where is this evolving and where is this going? All right. Just a little bit about us. I started this company about 15 years ago. We really combine all of the different things you can do with mobile, and we're helping HR teams, training teams, and marketing teams. Got thousands of clients around the world, and have recently introduced a few other services. One is a vaccine tracking service, and Frank and Bryant have introduced that too through their employees. All right, let's go on. And Frank, tell us about where you guys are located and a little bit about the casino.
Well, I've been here about 8 years, and when I first went up here, everybody uses their map of Michigan, and so we're right here, kind of in the south middle. I often say it's between Chicago and Detroit there.
Okay.
Towards the bottom part of Michigan.
There we go. So you get plenty of Detroit people and Chicago people coming.
We do. We're on a major highway, east, west, north, south.
It's great.
And FireKeepers, our big town is Battle Creek, open since 2009, continuing to grow. We added hotel and additional eating venues in 2012. And then we just finished, most recently, another addition where we added that second tower, as you can see in the background there on the left-hand side or right-hand side, and added additional eating space. So we're continuing to grow, about 2,060 team members.
Wow, that's a lot of people. That is a lot of people.
It is one of the reasons that texting really fit what we were looking for to get communication out to our staff.
Looks like a beautiful property. This bottom left picture, is that one of your guest rooms? Because I think I see a grand piano tucked back. Do all of your rooms come with a grand piano, or is that just for those special people?
That is the prepresidential suite.
Okay, there you go. But
I've never had the pleasure of staying in there, but believe it or not, some famous people have played that piano.
Oh, I bet. Well, like who?
Brian, I believe it was Anita Franklin.
Yep. Nice.
We got some pictures of that, and then whenever we have any acts come through, they obviously get to stay in that room.
Beautiful. Yeah, very, very upscale casino. And when people think of casinos, they oftentimes forget about, it's not a casino necessarily, it's restaurants and hospitality. It's just, in fact, Molly, if you go to the next slide, it's a huge array of different kinds of people that you're engaging with from a staffing point of view.
Oh, I kind of equate it to a little city. You've got so many different departments or components of the city, from the fire department to the waterworks to town hall to the electrical company. As you can see on the list there, we have housekeepers, F&B, marketing, IT, warehouse. It's amazing how many departments are here.
Yep. And we might have even left off a few, and every one of these has their own unique characteristics, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And they're not sitting around a computer waiting for the HR department to send them an email about please do something, I'm guessing.
Absolutely, Dave. And that's why we went to mobile technology, is because we were having challenges communicating to our staff in a timely fashion if there was an issue or an incident, or they needed something they didn't know before they started their shift. Where we had postings and we had pre-shift meetings, we really didn't have that method to say, hey, avoid the highway because there's been a wreck and it's gonna slow you down an hour, or hey, don't forget to park here today because we're repaving the parking lot, or hey, we're doing this team member promotion today, be sure to stop by our dining area to get your free gift.
What percent of your staff throughout the day is actually using a computer as part of their job? It's got to be a real small percent of your company, I would think.
About 20% would be our guess.
20%. Does everybody have a company email, or not everybody?
They do not.
They do not. Okay. And Bryant, the third bullet, we wrote the word interesting patrons. You have to deal with a lot of extremes in the casino hospitality business, I would guess. And some of these extremes need communication like now.
Yeah, kind of as Frank mentioned, we're right on the main thoroughfare as far as highway. So a lot of times we'll let them know if the highway's backed up or shut down. So maybe they can take an alternative route to get to work on time, or the weather, those types of things. Or maybe we're going to close the venue, shut one down so they don't come, or we're going to repave a parking lot so they can, know to park in a different place, or those types of things. And as you mentioned, they don't have an email. And so we'll send them a blast and let them know ahead of time what's ahead of them. So they appreciate getting that notice.
Molly, the next slide. So the aspect of mobile, you guys were kind of on the early side adopting this. Did you think that the population would adapt to it okay? And was there something else you were thinking about? Or was it one of these situations where you basically said, I can't email everybody and I need this information in front of them? I mean, was it one of these light bulbs where you finally said, my gosh, we need to adopt something?
Dave, we definitely had a communication gap or barrier. And so we knew we had company cell phones. We knew staff had cell phones, but how was it that we could get the message out there in a timely fashion? We do have a self-service component to our company HRIS page. So if people log in, they can get a message, but if they don't log in, they're not getting anything in real time. And so that's why we wanted to be able to use mobile technology to instantly get that message to them. And initially, our thought process was, emergency situations or important information. But since then, it's really evolved to where we've incorporated into training, into the COVID piece, and even our marketing team has used it to speak with VIPs. And I think there's still a lot more possibilities with this technology that we haven't even got to at this point.
Right.
Yeah. Molly, the next slide. I think you touched on it, Frank. There are lots of mobile technologies that you could adopt, from apps to mobile sites to WhatsApp to WeChat to texting. Sounds like you said, let's adopt simple text messaging for kind of urgent notifications. That was your toe in the water. Is that how you kind of got down the path?
Correct.
Yeah. And my guess is people didn't object to that because it was about parking or snow or weather or emergencies. So they wanted these kind of communications.
No, absolutely. Especially, I didn't touch on this, but when COVID first started, we had to shut down. And so we really didn't have a way, if we didn't have mobile technology, to speak to people about what was going on, if they had unemployment issues, what's going on with the business, when we might reopen. So that was another way that I think really it saved us a lot of pain and anguish, and really kept our team informed and knowing what was going on, which made them more, I think, secure and at ease that we were at least touching base with them on what was going on.
Yeah. As you started, and Molly, the next slide, as you started increasing the usage, Brian, did you get more pushback regarding you're overusing it, or were you super careful about how you communicated with people?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. We've been very careful with it. We don't want to get to where people are not answering or not paying attention to that. So we've had team members, when we getting that feedback that are saying, they like it. We've even had people, I've heard people say, why can't more leaders, communicate this way? And we don't want to just turn it on to everybody using it, because somebody would be like, okay, that's too many messages in a day. I'm not even going to react to one that now becomes an urgent one that we want people to see that very important message, where now they're going to miss it because of the massive influx of text messages coming.
Yeah, so you have been really careful about how you use this.
Yeah, we're trying to be strategic with that, not overuse it too, for sure. So,
and I think many people in the audience probably have no idea about how this texting works. This is not something that one of your staff takes out their phone and creates a group text, right? Maybe you could explain how you physically would send out a text to 100 people or a couple hundred people. What do you do? Because I think this whole idea of using texting to communicate with a workforce is kind of a light bulb moment. I don't think most people have kind of thought about that, and they even know how to even do it.
Absolutely, David. I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that we enjoy about your product is we can create groups. And so we use groups for a lot of different things. So we can narrow our messaging down to whatever that message is for that particular group, whether it be like a front of a house issue or back of the house issue or a management issue. But we push it quite a bit. We have an internal weekly newsletter that we put in there quite a bit. It's pretty simple to enroll. You simply type that code and then our key code, and they're in the system. And then we also, in new hire, when we have our weekly new hires, we can push that with our new hires. If you want to stay up to date on what's going on, simply text us. And so it continues to get more involvement as we add new staff.
And individuals can text in to join lists, or you can put them in that list, right, Brian? It can go either way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And as Frank mentioned, we can, if they want to sign up for just training information, so to speak, they can get just those type of texts or just the emergency type things. So they can sign up for just that.
They can sign up. Yeah, that's right. And it's not going through any employees. Your staff's phone is using a platform like ours to create your list and push that out.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's easy to format in the back, can see what it looks like before you send it out and all that. So it's nice to, it's easy to use.
We've got about 5 or 6 examples from looking at your dashboard of how you've used this. Frank or Bryant, maybe we'll just go through the categories. Employee communication. On our poll, that was the one that I think Frank said was probably going to be number 1, or maybe Bryant did. What are some of the examples on just pure kind of morale, employee communication have you been using? And tell us a little bit about it.
Brian?
We do some surveys sometimes, and we'll just do it random. So we won't do it as a mass annual survey necessarily, but we'll just do a quick little survey and, hey, sign up for text that way. So we kind of almost use it as a campaign to sign up for the texting, also. Mm-hmm. We also use it as recognition, or they can do different things to enroll and pay attention to our rallies and those types of things, and communicate what's happening that way too for different events that we have coming. So we share it through that as well. Mm-hmm. So.
We've had some clients as well recently come to us and say that they've uploaded an employee list with an anniversary date or a birthday, and then they will send a text either just to that person, or maybe their department saying, it's Barbara's birthday today, go over and wish her a happy birthday. Simple kinds of messaging that you couldn't really pull off with email, but you can, because you can be so targeted, like Frank said, you can pull that off with text messaging.
Yeah, the thing I would add to that, Dave, is, it's not just a text message like you see there on the screen. It's not just 2 sentences. What we found to be real beneficial is we'll create flyers with a lot of information and then upload that into a JPEG, and then that's what we'll text out. So it's not like you're manually typing in there. Nice. You send a picture with all your information, and it's easy, concise, and quick.
Yeah. So all you do then, Frank, is just click the little GIF or the little image, and up pops a flyer. If the font is small, you just pinch it out. There it is. I've spent my 30 seconds reading it. I don't have to go download it, check my email. It's just there. Yeah. I like that idea. Yeah.
And this one here on the screen, we used to, prior to having the texting, we had comment cards out in our team member dining room that people would fill out and drop in a box, an actual physical form. And then we would get those, we would try to read their handwriting, right, and get that. But now they just fill this out and text it right to us, and we send it through that way. So this is a real nice way to get team member comments and us to get that information. And it goes right over to our executive team, up to our CEO.
I love it.
And we track it that way.
And it's all cloud-based. So if anybody ever wants to go back and see all those comments, it's not going to be in a stack of cards with spaghetti sauce on it. It's going to be all in a database. Molly, the next slide. You mentioned, I think, Frank, something about, or maybe Brian did, about the human resource aspect, about new employees. What are some of the creative ways you guys have been using it from an HR perspective?
Well, a few ways that we've been using it from the HR perspective is primarily the communication piece, but training is one we've used quite a bit. We have a tiered training approach here. And so we may have a group of team members who are going through a specific class. And so we narrow down the communication for that group so they know where the training is going to be. Maybe the location had to move, or hey, you need to bring this to be prepared for the training, or even friendly reminders has also been pretty successful because some of our training is voluntarily and it goes on for a few weeks. So it's nice to send out the reminder so that group knows that they need to be there for that particular day. Brian, anything else you'd add?
Yeah, and again, it's very helpful for if we've got it scheduled to be in this meeting room and last minute something happens and we're changing it to a new location, we can send out a text blast to say, hey, it's not in that side of the building anymore. It's going to be over here, and people can save themselves some steps and go to a different location. So that's very helpful. We get feedback. There's a feedback from the training itself that they fill out right there in that, and we get the feedback from the training session also. So those are easy. We can click the links to training. You can see here in the middle photo, in case they missed the training, we can put the link on it. So if they are going through a series of training sessions, but they missed one of them, we can put the link to the one they missed and they can click on it and go to it there. So that's also helpful.
Frank, you mentioned about training and kind of nudging and reminding. Is there something different about a text, especially if you word it correctly, than an email? I mean, what is it, do you think, that
I think it's
differentiates
instantaneous.
it?
You know, people are so married to their phones now. You know, if you hear a ding, everyone's kind of looking, is that my phone or is that your phone?
Yeah.
So people are in tune. It's part of who they are nowadays. So because an emergency, is it something you know? They want that information so quickly. And so I think that's why texting and that instant messaging has been so important for us.
And maybe also because the content, we all know there's not going to be a lot of content. If I get an email from Bryant that says, the header says, training scheduled February 1st, that might have 2 or 3 or 4 paragraphs. But if a text comes in, there might be a link to a video for me to watch, but I know it's not going to take me a lot of time. So there's just something built in that it's a consumable nugget of content, of learning, of engagement, or something like that. That just seems to be different. It's like, I love this little video, welcome to day one. Tell me about what this video says. It says FireKeepers Tower. What's that video all about?
Brian?
Yeah, so this is pretty cool. So this one here is we had, when we opened our second tower, we opened it in a pretty spectacular way, to be honest with you. We brought in you don't see this very often. We brought in a gentleman by the name of Nick Walunda. He's from the famous Walunda family, and he walked on a high wire from one tower to the other tower. And he really was pretty amazing, and yeah, telling a story the whole way, and really pretty remarkable. So this is a video of him doing that and talking along the way. So it was pretty amazing. And
wow, that's the way to open a new tower, guys.
Yeah, a different level of no fear for sure.
Wow. And then what I love is now every employee over the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, that could be part of their little mobile suite of content that they access. So how cool is that?
Yeah.
While we're on this page, the second service that you folks have used is this mobile platform that we have provided. Tell us a little bit about, how does that work with your texting? And why create some little nuggets of content on a mobile page? Frank, you want to kick it off and then Brian can come in?
Certainly. Well, I think once we get our staff conditioned to know where to find stuff, with all they have to do with the work, with all the resources we have, we want to keep it as easy and as seamless as possible for our staff. So if they know where to find the information and they know it's readily available, that's why we continue to put, like on the previous slide, you probably saw our handbook there, important information there. So if they need to know something, they know where to go versus having to ask and take time to find someone, or pull up their email and try to find someone, or ask someone who may give them the wrong information is the other concern. Here we have everything need, one spot, one site, and they have access to it.
Got it. Got it. Anything to add to that, Brian, about the effectiveness of these little mobile pages that you've built on our platform?
Yeah, and just to Frank's point, to be the known place where they can go get that factual, up-to-date information, I think is the key point. So that is key. And again, to have it at their fingertips, whether they're sitting in the doctor's office or a long red light or whatever the case may be. So
what kind of info do you have on the mobile platform that people can access? And where do you think that might go in terms of even more content? Frank, I'll start with you.
But typically it's going to be policy and procedures, but there's links that we have on where they can go and find it on their self-service site with our current HRIS system. But, I think there's more we could do. We just need to find the time with everything else going on in this crazy world. We'd like to do more, but it's just getting the bandwidth to do that.
Yeah, but just having policy, procedures, benefit information, even COVID information, most people, they don't even know where to go. Maybe it's on the HRIS system. Maybe I haven't even logged in the last couple of weeks and I don't even remember where the link is. Who knows what? So having a text go out sometimes with a little bit.ly to go watch that video, or on the middle one, look at track number 1, it's just convenient.
Oh, absolutely.
Kind of spoon feeding the content to people.
And then the QR codes, we do a weekly newsletter every Thursday, so people know to look for that for information. But when we put that QR code in there, it allows us to expand on what we could share versus what we could in that one page. Yeah,
love that. Molly, the next slide is about promotions. You touched upon that, Frank and Brian. Maybe one of you guys could just kind of talk about, for those on the call that have a marketing bent to them, what's your recommendation about using mobile from a marketing bent?
I spoke with our VP of marketing a few days ago about how they used it, and they had a VIP promotion. And so similar to what we were having challenges with, the VIPs are on the floor. They could be in the steakhouse, they could be playing, they could be at the pool, they could be up in the room. But if there's a promotion going on where they want to know, like, hey, when's the next drawing? What's going on today? Hey, the VIP dinner is getting ready to start. They use this technology to keep in touch with our most important guests, so they know what time to be someplace, what was going on. And I think that improved their experience versus wondering, asking, and ultimately not knowing.
Yep. Yeah, I like it. It's a good way to keep that group connected and feel, like they're part of kind of the VIP family. One more slide and brings us to COVID response. Obviously, that has affected you guys more than, so many other businesses, because being in the hospitality business, what is it like these days going to the casino? And then talk a little bit about how you've used some mobile. So what's the state of the world in casinos for how you're handling COVID?
Brian, you want to start this one?
COVID? What is there a COVID thing?
There was a couple of years ago, but it's on its way down. You might have heard about it.
Yeah, definitely some challenges, and today is as much as any, unfortunately. And rolling with the punches, being as fluid as we can, and being as caring as we can at the same time. And again, a big part of that is communicating with and transparent as we can with our team members, and having all those links opened and utilizing this system to keep them updated with the massive amount of changes that are coming.
That's right.
and getting that to them. I think this is the best method to do that, rather than just put up a posting and then if it changes next week, we'll put up a new posting. It changes too fast to wait and do it that way. So this method, that they know that they're going to be getting those updates a lot quicker.
And you folks are just starting to roll out this vaccine tracking system that we have created. Tell me a little bit about that, Frank, and what's the mindset behind using a mobile tool to kind of collect information about testing and vaccinations?
Absolutely. So I know the OSHA ETS is currently in the Supreme Court's hands, but we were still proceeding with gathering the data so that we prepared if it is implemented. But with the vaccine card collection, we want to give the staff more options. HR is open Monday through Saturday, but we're on open swings and graves and weekends. So we did a QR code to where someone could upload their vaccine card, just take a picture of it, send it to us, and it goes to our database. And then we keep it in our files so that we have that record. And we've had a pretty good portion of team members submit it. Everyone's comfortable with the tool. And so I think it's been a easier response for them and also easier for us so that we don't have to have someone at the front door on times that we may not normally be available.
Yeah. And I think times have changed. 3 or 4 years ago, maybe people weren't using their phones as much. I mean, it's gone from, I'm going to look at my phone a couple times a day, 6 or 7 years ago, to I put my phone on my nightstand. That's the first thing I do when I wake up. So it has really, I think, morphed into the tool that everybody is looking at. So if you use that tool for even things like COVID response, it does seem like you're going to just increase the amount of people that are willing to participate.
Oh, absolutely, Dave. I can't sing enough praises of how beneficial this tool was when we had to shut down due to COVID, because if we didn't have it, I'm not even sure how we were going to be able to communicate with our team other than pick up the phone and call them ourselves.
Yeah.
When we sent out any messaging via the service, we'd often get calls from staff who may not have been signed up saying, how can I get signed up? Because I want to be in the know of what's going on with COVID.
Yeah, that's when you know you've got the right method, is when people are saying, I got to be on that list. I need this information.
I would just add the other thing with COVID too is our backup plan, or our other plan, if they didn't have it, was snail mail. We were sending letters, we were licking envelopes to all our staff to send them if they didn't have that. And right in there, we were recommending and encourage them to sign up for text so that they didn't have to wait to the next letter that we sent out, that they could get on there and they could get a quicker update. So, that was one thing that, really was beneficial.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, and snail mail without texting, if you don't have an email address, that's the only way to get information to somebody. So,
right.
But with changes in COVID and in your own business, you really just have to have something like this. Well, Molly, let's go to the final slide. Any kind of thoughts? I'll ask you first, Frank, in terms of kind of the takeaways or recommendations for folks that are thinking, okay, does this apply to me? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. I mean, if you have a couple hundred or a couple thousand like we do, if you want instant communication and you can get instant feedback, and you want your team member to be more informed, well-educated, it's honestly a no-brainer. It's been such a value add to this organization, and I think it's helped us be an employer of choice that we take this communication aspect so serious.
And very little pushback, Brian. People saying, why are you doing this? You're not hearing much of that.
Oh no, I would say the opposite, and on top of that, the text that they get, we can really spruce it up too, right? So this isn't just the normal text or even the spruce up of a normal text with an emoji or something like this. This comes with some nice branding, right? So this can be some really cool stuff and some great content that these people have. So some people really look for something from their employer in this method. So again, especially as we can control it and send them, wanting something from us.
Yeah, just in the right sequence.
Yeah.
Any questions from the folks that are participating? We have Bryant and Frank's contact, my contact too. We will email everybody a copy of these slides and of the video. We recorded this, probably get that out to you sometime tomorrow, everybody. But before we go, anybody want to ask Frank or Bryant a question? If so, just put it in the chat window and we'll address it. And if not, that's all right too. All right, Frank and Brian, thank you so much for your nice words and encouragement about trying something mobile. So we will let everybody go, but it's been a pleasure to work with you guys throughout the couple, 2 or 3 years we've been working with you, as well as going forward.
Well, Dave, we appreciate you and appreciate the service. And I'm going to do a plug for Casey if he's watching. He's been a great help in everything we have related to this platform.
Thanks. Yeah, we'll make sure he hears that. He is awesome. So thanks for that. All right, everybody, have a good day. And thank you so much for participating. And thanks to Frank and Bryant.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Our pleasure.